Hey, it's Cadillaktrackz. This is quick tip 152. Happy New Year's, everybody. Appreciate the support on my channel, everybody that's here. Today's quick tip is just about backing up your information, backing up your data, your files, important files to back up for Fruity Loops and Machine. Every time it comes to the end of the year, it's a good idea to go ahead and just back up what you worked on throughout the year. That way you just got it backed up. You don't lose any progress and you can kind of move forward. You can also kind of clean up your PC. You might have a bunch of icons all over your desktop and all type of stuff, so it's a good idea to go through and clean stuff up. So I'm gonna go over some ways to back up files on Machine and Fruity Loops. I'm gonna start with Machine real quick and try to make this as quick as possible. On Machine, if you go to Machine and you go right here up and you click on the File Preferences and you go to Library and you go to User, this folder right here that has the standard directory next to it, whatever folder location is on your computer right here is where Machine stores all of the Machine information. It's the Machine default folder. I'm gonna open it here on my computer right here for y'all. You can see inside of that folder right there, it has some subfolders. It's got one called exports, and these are all the different exports you did throughout the year. It could be different patterns, different wave files, all type of different sounds. You might be surprised what you have in here. It's a good idea to back them up because they're like samples and stuff you've worked on. It's your work, and it's a lot of different stuff there. Or it might be a good idea to get rid of it. So it's always a good idea to back up and go through this stuff right here. You also have the group section. These are all your drum kits that you have. It could be drum kits that you've made throughout the year. I always stress with everybody on my channel, when you're making beats with Machine and Fruity Loops, you should always go through your library, drag 16 sounds into Machine, and then save it as a drum kit, meaning that you go right here and you go to save with samples. It's going to ask you where you want to save that, and you should always specify where you save stuff. When you install stuff, you should always specify where you install it. Don't just push OK because you don't know where stuff is then. So, make yourself a little place to put that, and it's always definitely a good idea to save a backup of all your drum kits you've made throughout the year. So that's another thing right there. Let me go back into the Machine folder here. So you have all your groups. Perhaps you might have some groups that you made, like I said, your drum kits. You want to save those. You got your plugins. You got the folder right here called projects. These are all your projects, from throughout the year that you have, So you always want to save those. And you definitely don't want to lose those. So the stuff that you need to save is all inside that parent Machine folder. Then you got this folder recordings and samples, and these two folders can get real big. You might not even know how much space they've been taking up. If you do a lot of sampling and stuff, you could have tons of audio clips and files and all type of stuff in there, man. It's a good idea to back that up. Sometimes it's a good idea to get rid of some of that stuff. I had a bunch of stuff in mind I was able to get rid of. I wasn't currently using in any projects, and just a bunch of stuff in there you might want to go over. You might be surprised at all the stuff in there. It's a good thing to consider to back up too, if you want to make sure you don't lose any of that stuff that you have in there. And then the same thing with the sounds. These are sounds that you have for different instruments. So it's always a good idea to back up your stuff on Machine that way. Another thing with Machine, there's two more things. For example, when you open up a plugin, an effect on Machine, like for example, I opened up this FN, frequency modulation, and I've showed y'all on my channel how you can save presets of effects. You just click right here and you go down to the bottom of the list and it asks save as, and right there you can put a name for it, and then it has a path, and you should always specify the path. Sometimes I put mine inside the Machine folder, but this path right here is where all your presets are, and it's always a good idea to save a backup of all your effect presets. And the last thing is over here in Machine, you spend a lot of time going through Machine picking your favorite sounds in the browser, especially if you have user kits and you're going through and you're picking all the favorite sounds. And if you reinstall Machine or you make a change or something like that, you could actually not have all those favorites. And the favorites are actually saved on your computer. So I'll go ahead and I'll put a link right here to this little post from Native Instruments. It's the location of where all your backups for the favorites are. That way you can save a copy of all your little favorites. If you're on Windows, you just go right here and you'll put this in the little search bar right here. And if you're on Mac, you'll do the same thing. Or you can actually go to this on your computer by going to the C drive and then the users and then app data, and go right there and just make a little copy of that file. So there's a few important things to save with Machine. And then with Fruity Loops, there's a little bit more stuff that you should maybe back up. So I'm just gonna go over just a few things on Fruity Loops that are good to back up or to consider, think about. You spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time installing sound banks and sounds and presets for VST plugins. So you want to kind of save those presets for these VST plugins, and open this folder right here. It's called Documents. On your computer, you have a My Documents folder. It should be under your drive where you installed Windows. And that Documents folder is basically the default folder for a lot of different plugins and programs presets. So for example, I think I got Dunes presets in here, Cadillaktrackz presets in here, glitches presets in here, some isotope presets in here. Like a lot of different instruments and companies store the presets right here. So you always want to make sure you save that folder right there. And if a lot of times you want to have a plugin where you don't know where the presets are saved or stored on your computer, you just want to make a quick copy, a backup of them. So what you can do is just open up a VST, and when you open up a VST, just click on it, and for example, this is Cadillaktrackz. If I was to click right here and go to File, Load Patch, it opens up a little window, and this window basically gives me a clue on where those sounds are located. I can bring the drop down, I can see right there where the presets are located, and then I can go to that folder and save those. It's a good idea to save those because, like I said, you install a lot of these sounds, and you wouldn't want to reinstall the plugin and then reinstall hundreds of sound banks if you had them, and you probably lose some sounds. So it's a good idea to back those up. And another thing with Fruity Loops is Fruity Loops has a folder. When you install Fruity Loops, for example, it'll go into your computer under the C program files, and it'll have a folder. It'll go program files, Fruity Loops, and then it has a data folder. And inside of that data folder is a lot of stuff. It'll break down like this right here. It has your backups. It also has a system folder. It has patches. It has projects. It can even be more folders sometimes. And under this patches folder, sometimes you want to save all of this, but you want to focus on certain folders. For example, when you go from one computer to another, or one Fruity Loops to another Fruity Loops, you want to bring all your settings in or whatever. You want to go to this folder right here, this patches folder, and it has stuff like mixer presets. These are all the mixer presets that are available. Like for example, I have a lot of mixer presets. And when you save those mixer presets, which are basically chains of effects, it has this little option right here where you can actually save all those. So those are all located right here under mixer presets. So it's a good idea to back up that folder. Also your plugin presets. These are like very important because, like for example, once you go into there, you go into effects, and you have different plugins. Like for example, Gross Beat is a plugin that we use, and a lot of your preset banks and your little banks and presets are all inside of these folders. So it's real important to back up the data folder, or basically just the whole Fruity Loops folder sometimes. You also have the projects folder. That's self-explanatory. That's all of your work that you've been working on, unless you've been saving it somewhere else. So this is the type of stuff that you want to save and back up with Fruity Loops. It's a good idea to make a copy and save those. So that's about it, man. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. I just want to give y'all some ideas and say thanks, Happy New Year's for everybody on my channel. But I kind of pointed out some of the key things to look for. You want to save all your presets from different VST plugins. You want to save your files and your projects for all the music that you've been working on. You want to save any drum kits that you might have made throughout the year. So I went over that type of stuff. And those are real important things to go ahead and save. You want to save your My Documents folder also. It's got a lot of your documents and presets for a lot of different stuff. If you do that, then you should be pretty good. You should have a good backup of all your machine and all your Fruity Loop stuff. And from there, man, just keep an eye on your file management. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. If you haven't checked out my custom MK3 template yet, make sure you check that out. It's basically a controller to where you can control Fruity Loops, like all these functions up here with the machine MK3. You can also do a lot of other stuff, on the machine on Fruity Loops. So it makes it real intuitive to make beats inside of Fruity Loops. And for the new year, I'm gonna make some more videos, man. I'm gonna try to show y'all. I guess I'm gonna get back into maybe some beat making videos, and I'm kind of wanted to make some new content for the channel. Maybe take y'all on a journey with me and trying to sell some beats. I've been trying to do that for a long time. I've actually been unsuccessful, and I just got to start all the way over and try again, basically. So until next time, man, I appreciate everybody on my channel, and yeah, make sure you back up your stuff, man. I showed you how to back up your machine and back up your core Fruity Loops file, so get that done, man. One.